recording, but if you want to let me know when you hit the recording, I can do that on Civic Clerk. I think somebody's muted.
I just hit the recording, so.
Okay, hold on. And okay, we are rolling. We can start with opening the meeting.
Okay. Welcome to Protection and Policy Committee meeting for February 8th, 2021. I will check for the roll call. Alder Steuer, I'm here. Alder Lefebvre.
Here.
Alder Stevens.
Here.
Alder Vanderleest. He's muted. I think he's here. Alder Vanderleest.
Oops.
You
on.
guys.
Yeah, he was unmuted and then just muted again.
Well,
Yeah.
regardless.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say we're all present and accounted for.
Okay. Okay, approval of the agenda.
Motion to
approve.
Oh, there he is. Let's see, Alder Lefebvre, you wanted to change something?
Yes, I want to move mine. Let's see, it's number 4 up to the number 1, please.
Okay, so that's your motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Stevens. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That passes unanimously.
Then we need a motion to approve as amended.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion
as
by
amended.
Lefebvre, seconded by Stevens. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. That passes unanimously.
Okay, and approval of the minute.
I would- Motion by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That passes unanimously.
All right, we are on to item number 4.
All right. Consideration with possible action on a request by Alder Lefebvre to look at varying as Green Bay's licensed alcohol establishments with a discussion on a moratorium. Alder Lefebvre.
Yes. I know I have only been on, now this is my 3rd year on the city council, so a lot of this happened before I was on the council. But my concern is University Avenue is my main concern. But I know there may be some other areas. I did see the map of that was a while ago, and I apologize today. I've had several things going on that I didn't get a chance to find that map again. But I think if we did look at the map, I know University Avenue seems to have so many establishments that either sell or dispense in person, you know, bars, grocery stores, gas stations that do sell alcohol. And I just think that when that was happening, I think they should have been looking at the area, the impact of all the alcohol concentrated in one area. You know, years ago, they all complained about Broadway, all the bars and so much drinking going on at the bars. So they said, we're going to start cleaning this up. And so now we kind of moved it to another area. So I'm just concerned about, we got to really watch where we are putting these establishments. I'm not against business, and I'm not a prude about drinking. You know, I mean, I have a beer once in a while, but I'm not a drinker. But I do understand, yes, some people want to have a drink. That's fine. But I just think that we need to really look at what we're doing, where we're putting these establishments, because yeah, we just got to watch our concentrations. So that's why I kind of, I don't know if I worded it right, a moratorium, kind of like in one area. Right now it'd be University Avenue, but there might, some of the other alders might have some other areas that they're really concerned about. And I would like us to look at all the areas that we do have these establishments, and is there some concern with those areas? And I know we just approved, was that the one on Dousman, not Dousman, Walnut, right? And it's not right by a school, but it's not far from a school. And there's a big neighborhood around there too. So I know they were concerned about once before on a gas station with serving alcohol. So these are, I know people do have some concerns about this, and I think we just have to look at it and we have to be careful what we are doing.
Thank you for that. Alder Dorf, I was going to, go ahead.
Okay,
Alder Dorf.
I just wondered if one thing that is possibly taken into consideration would be the number of police calls, or actually the data around what, if there are problems within that area, and is that something that can be easily collected or not easily collected? I don't know. Would Lieutenant Mahoney or Lieutenant Allen be able to tell us? Are there concerns, like, for example, on University Avenue where Alder LaFave is talking about?
Without looking at the data or knowing, just from knowing what our community police officers deal with and even the road officers, I haven't heard of a lot of calls on University. It's not saying they're not there. I just haven't heard about them. And then in terms of collecting the data, yes, we have a couple crime analysts. We would just need parameters where it's from Webster Avenue out to the 54, 57 interchange. Parameters in terms of geography and also time. If you wanted over the past year or over the past 2 years, just this past summer. So those are the parameters that we can give our crime analysts, where they could pull the data and then it could start being analyzed. Because just because there's a quote police call there does not mean it's alcohol related, or it might not even be the
Right.
establishment.
Sure.
In the downtown district, I can't tell you how many times someone calls in saying, "Hey, I'm right across from," I'll use the old El Presidente. Well, then it gets put in dispatch that we were at El Presidente when in actuality we weren't. So just based on numbers of calls, that's why our analysts would go through and say, "Hey, these calls that were truly the ones where police were there because of this establishment, not just because they were using an address that when they looked up, when they called us, that they said that."
Alder LaFave, let me ask you, and Alder Dorf, was there anything else? Otherwise, I'd
No,
like to.
it was just like, if we're
Yeah,
going to do
right.
this, can we base it on some data? That's all.
Of course, and I agree with you. I think, in the past, there were maps that I actually have some in a file somewhere. I can't dig them all out, but it would be nice to maybe have an updated with the data behind it. And, maybe we could look over the last 2 years, 2019, 2020, something like that, where we would have an updated map showing, first of all, the establishments. And then secondly, if there were a number of legitimate police calls, as opposed to the ones you were talking about before, Lieutenant. I would think that the records are there. I would think that you would have that information. I think I know where, Alder LaFave is, but, I know it's like anything else. We have businesses, they are legitimate businesses in the city.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful
Mhm.
on that. But, we also, expect to have good neighbors, with our establishments. So maybe that's something, maybe our committee could talk about it. I'd like to see updated map with research, and then also the number of police calls that are there. That way, I think we would have that data that Alder Dorf was talking about, and then we could look forward to maybe having a report or something that we could have to this committee, and then we could deal with it after that. But right now, it's kind of hearsay. We don't have all that in front of us right now. But, I think this could be a good start. Alder
Mr.
LaFave.
Chairman, I think it was in 2019 that we were given all the statistics of what type of business, what type of alcohol, I think, license that they had and where they were located. So that's not that long ago. I think
No.
we haven't really we might have added 1 or 2, but maybe they would just look at that. But so I think they can go back in the files, and I don't want them having to say, "Oh, we got to start, do all this work again." But one thing too, I think last year and going into this year, abbreviation, it's not a normal situation because some of these bars maybe are closed, not as many people are driving, so we can't really, go by that, by last year and then beginning of this year, what's happening. So, yeah, we're gonna have a little trouble with that. So it's kind of like making the committee think about it. I'm saying, let's see, maybe it doesn't have to be something that we're going to do right away. Let's get some more, if there are some new places to be added to that map, maybe that can be done. Let's get that and then let's just take a look at it. And then once, I think once the pandemic is pretty much over, I think then we're going to start getting into where people are going to be driving more. And you're going to have more people that might be under the influence out there, because it's only been, what was it, last month? There was one drunk driving accident. Was that on Main Street? That wasn't University, was it? Or was it Main? Or someone, he ran
Hard to
into a
say.
pole. And it was, it wasn't his first one either. He was, I don't know, this was multiples for him. So, it does happen, but not as much now because not as many people are driving, going out.
Well, I think for what you want to do though, I think having the data and the research behind it,
Mhm.
I think that would be good. And you make a good point that last year, was kind of hodgepodge as far as with the pandemic and everything, kind of skewed statistics, but you could even go back to 2018, maybe 2018, 2019. Take a look at the data that we have, look at the establishments that are there, and you could also have a feeling of which ones have gone out, and that's why if you have it over a period of a couple of years, you can see what's existing, you can see what has gone away, etc. And,
Mhm.
I agree in the sense that, we have concentrated areas of establishments. You got your university, you've got your downtown area, you got Broadway, you got Lime Kiln, you got East Mason. There's a number of locations where probably 3/4 of all the establishments are on these 4 or 5 corridors, at least in my estimation. So, I think, we have to be aware of that. But I would suggest, Alder LaFave, that maybe we could refer this to staff to gather that data and then report back to us. Lieutenant Mahoney, what's your take?
I was going to suggest, yes, we could pull data from the past couple of years. I would also suggest that we look at our data now, since hopefully we're coming close to the end of the pandemic, and then also pulling data at the end of summer. I know with the vaccine and hopefully things getting a little more back to normal, that I do believe that the data this summer would be more accurate. I do agree last year was a very unique year last summer, but then we could look at our data throughout this summer and probably get a more accurate representation of what truly is going on.
Okay, including the establishments too, I would hope,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I
Mark, I'd like
ask,
to make a comment.
Oops, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
yeah, go ahead, John.
University Avenue is a long corridor, and it doesn't seem like we have a lot of problems as far as, with the establishments that are there. Most of them been in business for many years. And, as far as, the gas stations and able to sell liquor and things, we kind of open that up, to make it more of an even playing field. And I think that's, to be, in other words, thought about as well, that, as far as drunk driving, people know that, you're not to be driving when you've been drinking, and the people that don't, they get arrested. But I think overall, we got a pretty good track record on that corridor, and same way with Broadway. And, I think we've done real well with that. I think the Tavern League has been a big help in, working with, as far as when they have New Year's and different events. I think most of the taverns are pretty active as far as, trying to do the right thing. And if we just find the ones that aren't, we can, address those people in that manner. And, I think overall we've done pretty well in the city of Green Bay. That's my take on it. And as far as, having a moratorium, mainly these are businesses that are coming in and they request a liquor license so that they can be competitive. If it's a restaurant or, a new bar or whatever, we only give out so many licenses. I don't know how many, that's about it. We give out so many and we don't add any more, I don't think, to it. We could ask our attorney about that and just see what her take is on it. Thank you. That's my comment.
Good points, John. Thank you.
I
Attorney
want to
Munger?
also, oops.
No.
I also want to ask the attorney, Attorney Bunger, are we running into state regulations too? That's one of our problems too, I think.
As far as, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
Well, trying to put a moratorium in, are we running into a legal problem with the state?
As far as my understanding is, I don't believe there are state regulations prohibiting a city from doing a moratorium. A municipality has rather broad discretion as far as granting the license or not granting the license for new applicants, so long as that action isn't discriminatory or arbitrary. But a municipality has the authority to generally say, we just don't want any more bars, so we're not granting any more liquor licenses, regardless of type of establishment. That's when you can start becoming where there could be discriminatory practices, even if unintentional. But generally, a municipality can say, we don't want any more bars because we feel we have enough. It's a public safety concern, health concern, whatever that reasoning may be. It just has to be rational, reasonable, not
Right.
discriminatory.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we currently do
Yeah, I was
have-
looking, oops, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We do have a number of moratoriums in place that are set by resolution. There are a couple that were set by charter ordinance that kind of collectively set, as a city, stating that, in a particular corridor, in a section, we don't want any, it's a restaurant. So when licenses are changing over, so long as the current location was already licensed, a new tavern could go in. Otherwise, there was a collective push to kind of support more restaurants, so that it's a restaurant with serving alcohol versus a traditional tavern that just served alcohol. So that's certainly, the city has done that in the past. As part of that update, we can also maybe provide a copy of all of the moratoriums that we currently have in place by resolution and by charter
Mhm.
ordinance. And maybe we can also add that highlighting somehow into the map itself so that you can visually see where moratoriums are in place currently.
I would like to see also the delineation of, the taverns versus, the restaurants per se. I don't know if we have that, but,
That was
Or is that-
included, Mark.
all right.
I'm not sure we have that in front. Just generally speaking,
You could just look at it. The rest.
would be able to by the name,
Right.
but otherwise the distinction we really have, unless they're in a moratorium, the only distinction we would have is whether it's a Class B or a Class A and what type of license they have. But
Okay.
we can look into seeing how far we can categorize that.
Does that help, Alder LaFave? I think with the moratorium that
Yeah.
Attorney Bungard mentioned, I think we can't really do it much right now, but we need to gather the data and
Yeah.
put it on. So I appreciate that, but I think that's a good start. Okay.
Maybe there won't even be a moratorium. I just want us to be
Well-
aware, to look at this and to be aware where we
Well-
seem to be concentrating some of these areas with
Sure.
quite a bit of alcohol.
Well, having
and
that
can
on there
cause a
would help.
problem. And yeah,
Right. Having the
Mhm.
moratorium list on there would help, and we can focus.
Yeah.
So would you want to make a motion to that effect, Alder LaFave?
yes, I will
for-
make a motion that we have staff to furnish us with a map of areas, including where the moratoriums and the type of business, if restaurant or bar, whatever it is, gas stations that sell alcohol. Is that right?
With the, with the research behind it, it would be probably a GIS type of map, so you'd have the data behind it.
Yes, and then
Correct.
also that would also direct the police department to look at to do a study on the summer, right? I was thinking about the
Well-
summer, and we can look at 2018, 2019, see what we see, and then look at the summer and compare them. Would that be right?
I would like to see if we could go back to 2018 if we could. Lieutenant Mahoney, is that a feasibility?
Yes, we'd be able to go back that far. My question is, are you wanting to know the data citywide, or are you still looking at the?
I guess, yeah. I guess, yeah,
Citywide, because, it's not just University Avenue. There's other areas that
yeah.
have concerns too. So I think we got to look at it citywide, I would say.
Okay, and once
And-
again,
sorry.
because our data is broken down on how it's reported, I'm assuming any and all alcohol violations. I'm assuming you would also want disturbances caused by, like say there's a fight at a bar, that would come in as a disturbance. It would not come in as
Right.
an alcohol violation.
Right.
And that's also the type of stuff you would want.
I would think if you could put on there things in order that are directly related to the establishment.
Okay.
Like I said, if it's a disturbance, if it's alcohol related drinking, I don't know, there's just probably 6 or 8 different things that you could list under there. I don't know if there's a good way to maybe, succinctly put it together where you could just say, I don't know, maybe, do we need to have 8 different 8 different categories? I'd almost like to have it simplified somewhat so that's just a disturbance of some sort.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I guess that's what I was thinking, just a disturb. Obviously, we would probably classify the alcohol violation separate, and I know that's the highlight of every PNP meeting, the alcohol report.
Sure.
So we could do that separate. Then we can classify everything else back as a disturbance.
There's other. How about just alcohol related and other?
And then
Something like
I
that.
also know that, and I don't know how many years ago, we start tracking back for OWIs. That part of
Right.
our OWI question,
Yeah.
if we choose the answer, is the last known place of drink. So we do try and track that data to see if certain establishments, we get a high number of OWIs coming from there to see if there's something we
Right.
can work with that establishment about why that is happening.
Is that something that you'd want to share on a document like that, or is that more behind the scenes?
At that point, we don't mind sharing it because our goal is to reduce the OWI. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like when we do our OWI enforcement, we tell people exactly where we're at, when we're at, and what we're
Sure.
doing. And
Well, that might be another, you could have alcohol related, but OWI is alcohol related, but it would be nice to almost separate that out because sometimes you might
Sure.
just have underserved alcohol drink
yeah,
or whatever. But an OWI is another category. So I'd almost like to see that, just the alcohol related, the OWI, and then also other disturbances.
Yep, we could definitely work on getting that data and then also track it throughout this summer to see how this summer plays out. Since, yeah, I agree, 2020
Yeah.
was probably the anomaly where our data wouldn't be totally
Right.
accurate.
Yeah, if you could do that, and then, it might be one of those things where you could report back to us, or, with the alcohol reports, the disturbances, that type thing, you could also report out maybe after a while. But I think right now, this is a good start. Alder Lefebvre, I appreciate you bringing it forward. And I think, let's give you folks a little bit of time to put that together. Maybe you could report to us at next PNP meeting as far as where you're at with that. I don't know if we need it like in a month, but I'm just saying that we realize how busy you are. But if you could just kind of give us a heads up as far as how far you are along with it, that would be great.
Yep, myself or Lieutenant Allen will definitely do that.
Okay. All right. So we had a motion, Alder Lefebvre, and did that motion make sense, Attorney Bunger?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Stevens. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you again, Alder Lefebvre, for that.
All right, we are on back to item number 1.
Number 1, okay, consideration with possible action on a request by the Sardine Can at 128 South Broadway Avenue to extend their licensed premises to parking lot for one-day special events on June 9th, 2021, June 30th, 2021, July 21st, 2021, August 11th, 2021, and September 1st, 2021. Staff.
The law department has no objection. Let's defer to the police department for any safety
Okay.
and security.
Okay, Lieutenant?
The PD has no objection. We've worked with Mr. Bunkelman, the owner, in the past on these events. Their security has always been very well. He invites us and we always go late spring, mid to late spring, where we meet with all the staff, our community police, and kind of outline what we're expecting for the summer, answer any of their questions, help them have a successful summer. So the police have no objection with any of these events being out in their parking lot.
Yeah. Well, I know
Motion to
we've-
approve.
Okay, I just wanted to make a point. I know that we've, over the years, there have been some concerns over time, but I appreciate the comments from police and staff on this because, you know, there's always concern about noise in the neighborhood and et cetera. And as long as, you know, the owners are working well with the police and that, I feel confident with that. So,
Yes, in fact, I know with their bands, they always cut off the bands 15 minutes before the noise time. The past 2 summers, our calls for service in that area have been, they just plummeted. The Sardine Can has been very proactive with working with us, with working with the neighborhood. And Mr. Bunkelman, the owner, he emails myself or Lieutenant Allen probably monthly during the summer, asking if there's any issues. So if something pops up, he's on it right away and it's taken care of.
well, thank you for that, Mr. Bunkelman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I was going to say too, my husband and I, we bike, but last year we didn't do a lot of biking, but we would bike by there coming down on the side street at, is that Howard? Or I forgot which one it is. We come down onto Broadway and they've had, you know, people out in their patio and music and that, and it was never loud. Of course, this is during the day, maybe early evening, but they've always, it looked always like they were having a good time and it was fine, that they did a really good job from what I could
Okay.
see.
well, great. Okay, we have a motion by Stevens. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, good luck with that and let's continue the good work. All right, thank you.
All right, item number 2.
Number 2, consideration with possible action on a request by Gerziker and Catering LLC at 1244 Velp with a license premises description as one-room retail store liquor on shelves, beer cave, fridge units, back room, APP 300, approximately 300 square feet, previously licensed as J&D Gerzak Liquor and Catering LLC, staff.
Law Department has no objection.
Police,
The police concur.
okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, item number 3.
Clear the old frog out. 3, discussion with possible action on a resolution for the city of Green Bay to adopt the Brown County All Hazard Mitigation Plan. Staff, first of all, can I ask, you know, I know Brown County, I started reading through it. It's quite a lengthy document.
It is.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll open the floor in a second. But I just was wondering who on city staff brought this forward or on council or was it just seamless? I just wanted to know as far as, you know, how that was brought forward before the city council, or is that just a normal type of thing?
Alder Sawyer, I'll defer to Melissa, who
Okay,
staff DPW.
all right. Well, I would so need a motion to open the floor.
No, Alder, she's,
Oh.
Yeah.
she's
Oh,
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
All right, even with the county.
apologies,
Oh.
Melissa, I don't remember the title, it's sustainability.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Melissa.
She's our new person.
Oh, boy. See, we don't get out enough. We need to get out more. Melissa, my apologies. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Good to see everyone.
yes. Well, please just kind of fill us in a little bit on this
Sure.
plan. Thank you.
So I'm the resiliency coordinator. I started 3.5 months ago,
Okay,
and I am working on sustainability issues as well, Joanne. So you're not wrong on that. But I'm working a lot on resiliency planning in regards to stormwater flood management, just as a little background to, why I'm the person here tonight. Brown County updated their all hazards mitigation plan. This is usually happens every 5 years. They just recently completed their update, and the Brown County Board of Supervisors adopted the plan January 20th. After they adopted their plan, they sent it out to all the participating villages and municipalities so that it could go before their committees and council for adoption. There's a couple reasons why this is important that the city adopt this. Primary reason is that it creates eligibility for the city of Green Bay to apply for certain federal and state funds for hazard mitigation. FEMA grants and Wisconsin, and I want to say it's WEM, Wisconsin Emergency Management Funding as well. So the plan includes specifically, and I know there was a lot to look over, there's 5 chapters in the plan. Chapter 4 is probably the most important as far as the action items that the city's identified for specific mitigation actions and strategies. And that's on page 29 of chapter 4. In there's lots of different potential plans for stormwater flood management within the city.
Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of different departments that this plan affects and that fed into it besides stormwater. There's every municipality and village that participated in this update identified severe weather incidences as their top hazard concern. So there's tornado, there's fire, there's high winds that create, the back flooding from the Fox River. So there's a lot of different hazards identified in that plan. I guess that was the main thing. We are in the midst of, we applied for a FEMA grant. We submitted it last week for the city, and it is for East River Resiliency for property acquisition along the East River for highly impacted homes that have continually flooded. So we've already submitted the grant, but adoption of the plan that's also contingent. So there is and that's probably not the only grant that I'm going to help the city apply for as far as resiliency and flood management.
Well,
Excellent
Melissa,
job.
I'll get you to Alderdorf. But Melissa, I was just going to ask, I know you're working on a number of things here and that, and I suppose it's, we don't always, the Sustainability Commission, we don't always get notes or minutes on that as much. I would like, unless somebody else can suggest something, just understanding some of that ahead of time before we have meetings and that, the work you're working on, is that easily shared? Is it on the city web?
It's on the city website.
I've gone to the meetings, so yeah.
All right, that's all I need to know.
There,
Okay.
you can watch them. You can watch them.
After I'm done baking. Anyway, no, that's great. All right. Anybody else, Alderdorf or any of the other alders? Go ahead, Alderdorf.
The one question, and I looked it over. I can't say I read every word, but I didn't see anything about biological hazards like a pandemic, and we're in one. So I'm wondering, I know that's one of the 4 areas, and I saw the meteorological, and I saw the let's see, what is it? The hydrological with water, meteorological, but I didn't see electrical. So is that going
there's
to
a
be part of it?
section, and I don't know what chapter it's in, Alderdorf, but there is a section on public health hazards.
Okay, good.
That
I
may
must have missed
may fall into that.
I'll look it over
Because
again.
there are several different categories of
Okay.
hazards.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Man-made, fire, drought, coastal hazards, flooding, and I think public health hazards were included with that. And then also some of the terrorism type hazards as well. I mean, it's a very comprehensive plan.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was in there somewhere, and I had not noticed it when perusing it. So thank you for sharing that.
Nope.
Appreciate it.
So are we pretty
Alright.
comprehensive on all the disaster
Alright.
type scenarios that we have? I mean, I think over time, some things may be added even as time goes on as well. But you feel in your
Right,
estimation,
and that's why
Lisa?
it needs to be updated every 5 years.
Okay.
Um,
And so we're
the
at the
steering
point-
committees, yep,
Yeah,
the steering
ahead.
committee is comprised of many, different expert levels of, people from different backgrounds that weigh in on the plan.
Mark, I make
Okay,
a
well, it
motion to
seems-
approve.
Okay.
Wait, second.
Well, let's get right to the
Second. Oops.
chase. All right. All right, we have a motion and by Vanderleest, seconded by, was it the other way around?
Alder
I'm sorry.
Alder Stevens.
Alder Stevens, thank you, and seconded by Vanderleest. Okay, very
No.
good job, Melissa. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you for that. We'll definitely look it over and like I said, I don't know if there's, every 5 years you're saying it's normally kind of upgraded? Is that what you said?
Every 5 years, it should be updated, and the county they've committed to starting that process 2 years prior to the 5-year expiration date.
Okay, so the last one was it 2015 then? That,
Well, no,
Hard
that
to
was
say.
actually 2012, and they got a
Oh.
little behind schedule.
okay, all
So,
right. Well, good. Well, you're here to help push that along, I guess. All right, well, thank you for that. Thank you for your insights. All right, we're good for that. We voted, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yes, we did. All right. I'm ready for the next one. Yes? Oh,
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
no, you were muted. Okay, I thought it was,
I thought I unmuted myself.
I
but
thought it was
didn't work.
me. Oh, my Lord. Okay, good. All right, number 5, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. A request by Alder Weary to receive, update, and possible action on additional changes to the massage spa. I don't know if Alder Weary is here, but I know that Military Avenue, probably Leah Weicker is here as well. So I don't know if you want to, Joanne, if you wanted to just start. Is there anything that you could lend to this, and then we could open for Leah?
I don't have any updates. I know that staff is working towards it. I think we were waiting as well for the ordinance to pass, which I think it passed the second reading last council. I didn't attend council, so I apologize.
I think it
don't
was
remember.
recent, yes.
So I think those changes that brought us up to current authorities that were granted recently under state statutes are now available to us. Last discussions of the committee were to kind of create a more comprehensive regulatory scheme as far as businesses and review of said businesses and so forth, which kind of requires conversations between law department and other departments, PD inspections and so forth. And so at this point, we're still working towards that and don't have anything to present. So I
guess one thing I wanted to, I know we're focusing a little bit on Military Avenue here, but I would also like to look at this citywide as well. I'm sure there's other areas that would have pockets or issues as well.
Sure.
So
the view or the revamping of the ordinance or looking into additional regulations and things that are available to the city will be from a citywide perspective, not specifically to any.
Right, but I know we've been focusing a lot on military lately. Committee, do you have any specific questions? Otherwise, I'd like to hear from Leah Weicker. Do we need to open the floor for Leah as she's sitting?
Yes, no, we need to open the floor.
Okay. Alder
Motion to
Vanderleest,
open
you
the
open
floor,
the
Mark.
motion, okay, by Vanderleest, seconded by who?
LaFave.
LaFave, okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the floor is now open and, Leah, are you there?
I am here, thank you.
Oh, there you go. That's just as Military Avenue, but I figured just took a stab that it would be you. And I was right. Anyway, we read some of your recent emails and you've done a lot of work on this. I will admit, it's you care about the district very much, and so we appreciate your efforts there. I know Alder Wery has worked on this as well. I know I've worked with you on this over a period of time as well. And the emails that you did send us recently, you might want to paraphrase those a little bit and just talk about, your feeling that, we're doing well, but we could do better. So the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think I sent several of you an email outlining some of the more recent information I got since our last discussion.
Okay.
I had given a sample of the Milwaukee ordinance to the legal department, but I was told that we weren't able to use something similar. But I did find the legislation that allows cities to do that. It was Act 41, authored and adopted in 2019, actually. So it's been on the books for quite a while. They are allowed to regulate the establishments versus just the massage therapists themselves. So I guess my hope today is that you direct staff to have these meetings across departments with the police department, with legal department, with inspections, and possibly with the Brown County Health Department to get to the bottom of this. I've been working on this since 2015, and it is my promise to my board that I will continue this until we see some action.
We just want you to get back to all the other things you'd like to do more so. So I agree with you on this. Committee, do you have any questions at all? Or like I said, Leah's been putting a lot of time and effort into this, and Alder Vanderleest, you're a business person on Military Avenue, and you even talked about situations that you've had happen over a period of time. It's out there. We're frustrated sometimes because, maybe police or inspections couldn't go in as much as we would like. We were going after individual establishment, but I like the tenor that Leah Weicker has brought forward, that, we need to look at maybe what the state's doing, what Milwaukee is doing. It's an issue, and, it's not welcome here. We don't want that. We want legitimate businesses. We don't want them these situations affecting legitimate businesses. So I'm all in favor of, bringing this back to staff in a timely manner and try to do as much as we can quickly. Alder Vanderleest, did you want to say something?
Yes. The hours of operation that some of these establishments incur, in other words, is there a time set as far as their hours, or how do they regulate that part of it? I've got some complaints that, a lot of activity, around midnight and things like that. In other words, as far as the late hour activities and, that type of.
They're pretty quiet about it in that sense. I don't think they want to advertise in a way, but.
Yeah, actually the posted hours are 10 o'clock for most of them, but they don't go by their own posted hours. So this ordinance that I'm hoping we can look at, and the state representative that authored it is willing to meet with the legal department and his staff to talk about why Green Bay thinks they can't implement something like this. Hours of operation would be definitely something we could address if we had it legally on the books.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Currently,
What
we
is
can't
the
address
name?
it because they can be open any hours they want.
Leah, who's the name of the state rep that's working on this? Sanfilippo?
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
This was a
definitely want-
similar issue in his community of, I believe, near Burlington, Wisconsin. And that's how this legislation came about, because the hands were tied, but that ended in 2019. And we're just not up to date enough to have, to be using that legislation.
Well, I'd like to include our other state reps and assembly people in this as well. I think it's very important that we, locally, I think we're committed, but I think we need the backing of our state reps on this. So Leah, whatever suggestion you have that way, Sanfilippo, definitely doing that, but I would like to get our local state reps involved in this as well. I really feel that this is very important.
He was the author of the legislation, and that's why he offered to have legal department, his staff, which I think would be a smart first move. And then they can decide where we go from there and how to
Right.
include the police. And
Right.
a lot of people, I should say, a lot of cities have their own health departments. Because we don't, that might be a little bit of a barrier for us. But it's not to say we couldn't include Brown County's health department. Or our police department maybe could look at things from a health perspective way in addition to illegal behavior. But I think San Filippo's staff would be perfect since they worked on this legislation and have drafted several ordinances with cities to deal with it.
Well, I definitely like that. I was going to ask Lieutenant Mahoney or Lieutenant Allen if they're familiar with some of the other surrounding communities around Green Bay and how they've dealt with this, or if they've had issues, or if you're focusing strictly on Green Bay, of course. But you know, is this more of a? It's it doesn't stop right at the city limits. Things expand out a little bit. So I'm just wondering what your experience is with the police department on this type of thing. So,
we started looking at this today. And let's see, I got together with our detectives to kind of get a down low on what they're doing or what they've done with this in the past. I reached out to Rachel Mays, our city attorney, spoke to her briefly. Basically, our best angle for right now until some of this stuff gets hammered out is we'll do spot checks for licensing, make sure that all the massage therapists are licensed. And if that's not the case, we can shut those down. Between inspection and the health department, some of this falls kind of over on their side of the fence more than a law enforcement perspective. As far as if there's any prostitution or anything, that falls on us. I think our best bet is to kind of check in on the licensing for right now and see where we're at with those.
okay, yeah, the floor. I probably, thank you for that, Lieutenant Allen. Does anybody have any other questions for Leah? I guess Leah, one thing you were going to mention is that many times some of these places are closed, but within an hour they might pop up somewhere else. So I think that's one of the issues that you see in your district, and I'm wondering if you've expressed that to the police as well.
Yeah, I have been emailing our community service officer, but I understand he's getting a different position. Someone else will be coming on that I will hopefully meet. The last inspection that was done, out of the people that they inspected, there were 4 that had a second offense of non-licensed massage therapists. They were closed down and they reopened within an hour. The same location, same business. So our current method of citing them for having unlicensed massage therapists is not working. They did receive $600 fine. Apparently that's not enough to make them move on unless we have a coordinated effort where, the police go in every week and do it. Maybe that's 600 times 600 times 600. I don't know if that would help, but the women go between spas. So there's probably only one with a license that's moving between them. I have lots of information that I can share. Our neighboring businesses are watching this happen and are afraid, uncomfortable. As a business improvement district is a reason for the city to address this as soon as possible.
Totally agree. This has been going on for quite some time, and I guess I appreciate all your efforts on this, but we need to. I think we can do better. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, before I have to leave, I wanted to know, this is for Attorney Bongert. Can
can you hold on a second, Lala?
Okay.
If these are for Leah Weicker, the floor is still open. So
Okay.
if you have any specific questions, otherwise we'll close the floor and then we can talk. Anybody else for Leah? Okay, we need a motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor.
By
Second.
Stevens, seconded by LaFave. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. All right, go ahead, Alder LaFave.
This is a question, yeah, for Attorney Bungert. As was mentioned by Leo, that they close them down and then an hour later they're up again. Is it, could this go into our ordinance that the police can lock the building until there are proper licenses issued for that establishment?
I'm not familiar with what kind of parameters we can put with respect to the regulations, but that's certainly something we can look into to see whether it's a
Yeah,
possibility.
yeah, I would suggest that because that would definitely chase them out. I mean, yeah, just close them down and then they wait an hour and just open up again. So we're gonna ask our police to be constantly going there. That's not, yeah. If we can do something like that, would be much better. Thank you.
You know, I could ask the police too on this. It seems that, you know, let's say we really focus on this area and we take care of it pretty well. Chances are they're going to try to find other locations. But, you know, I think as a city, we have to be really determined behind this effort, not just on Military Avenue, but throughout the city. So as long as I'm here, and I know the other alders, I think, feel the same way, that, you know, we will keep pushing on this, and we need to work with our state reps. So I think with that being said, I don't know if we could entertain a motion to move forward. Alder LaFave, did you want to say
Can
something?
I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is there a limit on the fines that we can issue? The amounts?
I'm not familiar with that as to
Okay,
whether
that's
we-
something too, I think we should check into. Maybe 600 is not enough.
There
They
is a
seem
limit.
There is a limit?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think, okay.
Okay.
I could tell you when the police issue a fine, there is a limit or a set number that's set by either ordinance or state law. And then there's a lot of court costs added on to it. We do have the authority. I'll use Ken Ayers Park as an example. It's called maxing out the fine. We do have the authority right now, even if the actual fine, say, is $200, and there's, say, $250 in court costs to make it $450. That $200, we could actually up the fine. There is some leeway where they need to get supervisor approval, and we do that out at Ken Ayers Park, where a fine out there is $1,300. I could tell you the problem we run into is the girls that are working at the establishment, the employees, finding them won't do anything. We are trying to track down the owners of the business and find the owners, because finding the girls, the employees that are working there, I could tell you will do absolutely nothing. A, the city will never get that money from them, and B, it will not stop the operation. So at the police department, with our spot checks that Lieutenant Allen said, we really want to go after the owner, either of the establishment or even the property owner that's allowing the people, the establishment, to be in there. If we could, without getting into our investigation, if we could connect the dots back to that person. So those are the challenges that we work with. But yes, if we do have the authority where we could up the fine, we can't make it $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, but we can up it, almost doubling what it is now.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, with that being said, Leah Weicker mentioned that she'd like to see, more involvement with the state, et cetera. So we've heard the testimony. Would one of the committee like to bring forward a motion?
Let's see, the motion would be to, I am unmuted. The motion would be for the law department with, should we say, Military Avenue for now, and the state. I forgot what his name is.
San Filippo?
Yeah, bring him in to see if he can help us with writing this ordinance properly and where it becomes
So,
effective.
Could we do it in such a way to say to work with some, I don't know if it's a representative, San Filippo, and the state, and in conjunction with our law department, to craft an ordinance that will mimic, the state ordinance or Milwaukee's ordinance. Does that make sense or not? Help me out, folks.
Yeah,
We can just generally, so we currently already did in our
Right.
ordinances to reflect the granted authority that state legislation has provided. So at this point, I wouldn't want to direct staff to be, because if research shows and I'm not familiar with what research ACA Matt has reviewed, so I don't want to speak on her behalf as far as what parameters we have or what limitations are, but I wouldn't want there to be a motion to refer for staff to be putting something together that's not going to be possible. I think generally if this just is a motion to refer to staff to be working with state counterparts and the military business district to continue working on providing additional regulations as applicable.
Well,
which
be
would
good.
apply to all the city, right?
Well,
Would you
This
want to
is-
put that in?
this-
Because we
this
don't
is
want to just
citywide.
limit.
All ordinances are citywide. We don't
Citywide.
have,
Okay, okay,
this wouldn't
okay,
be a city.
okay,
this
then
would
that's
be an
my
open-
motion.
I'll second.
okay, LaFave and seconded by Stevens. I was just gonna say, can we report out on this? I don't know if each meeting or every other meeting, what's your take? I would like to get updates on this as much as possible. And I realize that, it's like time, a month, 2 months, the sooner the better, but what's a good time period to answer back to the committee as far as where they're at? Can we say 2 months? Or a month? Anybody?
I
Well-
would say give them whatever time they need, as quick as they get the information, report back to us at our next Protection Policy Committee. In
Okay.
other words, I think the staff is aware of what's going on and they're moving forward with it. And, I'm sure that's
So
what
not-
they're trying to do.
So don't worry about a time frame.
No, just continued updates, I would think, huh?
Yeah, they give us some
Okay, if we have questions, we can always bring those forward. But yeah, that's good. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That passes, and thanks for all the input. Attorney
Okay,
Bungert in your office.
okay.
Mark, did we close the floor?
Yeah, we did close the floor.
We did, yeah. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm
Yes.
gonna leave the meeting now and I'll go
Okay.
to the next
Well, good
meeting.
luck.
So,
Good
okay,
luck.
everybody have a good weekend. Good week.
All
Good
right.
weekend. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, let me know when you're ready, Attorney Bungert.
Yeah, 1 second. Just recording the. All right, item number 6.
All right, number 6, a request by Alder Burnett for discussion with possible action on forwarding the face covering ordinance to the Brown County Health Department for review.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I had Attorney Mather forward me the ordinance that we passed in July originally. I'll be honest, I didn't realize how short it was. For me, it seemed like it was longer. The ordinance was several pages from my memory, but the ordinance itself is only 1.33 pages, a page and a third. So I guess what my point is, we passed it in July. A lot has changed. The effectiveness of certain sorts of face mask. I think that one said that it could be a homemade mask that's cloth in nature. I just would like the health department to review our ordinance. It's not going to really change anything because we passed the ordinance to be effective all the way until March 31st, but it wouldn't hurt for the health department to give us things that may have changed in regard to COVID since July. For example, certain types of masks are more preferred. Certain types of places are exempt. That sort of thing. It's not groundbreaking stuff. It's just, I think it would be appropriate because we don't have a health department to have an outside view on our ordinance just to, tell us if we should adjust it or change it to be consistent with what best practices are right now.
So Alder Burnett, did you talk to the county at all on this matter?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Right. Anybody, Alders, anybody else, Alderdorf?
No, I'm just curious, is that something that our attorneys did or are capable of doing? It might take Brown County Health a really long time. They're really having trouble even doing contact tracing from my understanding of what's going on over there. But is that another alternative, or is that just nothing? We don't want to put another thing on the attorneys. Maybe that's,
Yeah.
it's better not to.
If I could, or Brown County or Appleton or the Oneida Tribe, I mean, they all have health departments. So if it's not Brown County, any health department. But to your point, Alderdorf, I think the same would be their case as well. They're probably busy as well.
So you're just looking for something that would be a little more definitive as far as, you know, what type of masks and some of the protocols that are out there?
Wouldn't hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, I understand everyone's busy, but we have this ordinance in place. I think it was passed in July. That's a long time ago.
Well, now some places say you need the double mask, and you're right. I do agree with you in the sense that they're, you know, I think we're all trying to do the right thing. You know, we're doing the distancing and the hand washing and the et cetera, et cetera. A lot of us are doing that, but then there seems to be little variations that come into play. And then it's like, okay, how do we adjust to that? And I agree with you, Alder Burnett, that it would be nice to, you know, have at least a little bit of direction that way. So Alder Dorf does bring up a good point. You know, the Brown County Health Department is taxed a bit, but, you know, it'd be nice to have something. So committee, what do you feel? Anybody?
To make a comment, Mark?
Go ahead, Alder Vanderleest.
I think that, you know, any information that we can receive from the Brown County Health Department as far as about the mask issue, it'll be like a public information that can, you know, that whatever they say that, you know, this is good to use. I guess that's what we'd kind of be looking for. It wouldn't have to be any whatever's the best type mask. And, you know, I know they stress about washing hands and all that type of stuff and the social distancing. But if they have any suggestions on the proper mask to use, maybe they'll have more information. The state might have more information as well. And maybe Brown County could check on that. Wouldn't take very long to do that little information. Basically, it would be a public service announcement for the whole community. So yeah, this is a good kind of mask. And, you know, they advertise on TV. They have Dr. Rye and they have other medical professionals that are, you know, giving out this information. I'm sure Bell and Health or, you know, Prevea would do the same. They could probably help us out of saying, yeah, this is a good kind of mask. Or, you know, they're the ones on the cutting edge. I would say the medical community is the one that we should talk to. And if it's the hospital or if it's the Brown County Health Department, I'm sure that Dr. Rye would give us information. He's on TV all the time. So
Okay.
my
Is
suggestion.
there, let me ask, maybe Alder Dorf, you would know this. Are you on our website? Do we have things, you know, I haven't looked at it recently, but might there be some information there already that is in place, you know, for this type of thing or not? On our city website? I don't think I've seen it.
I think so, on our city website.
You know, and I'm not putting pressure on it. You know, you can ask 10 different people their opinion on something like this and you might get
Right.
all little different answers. So I appreciate Alder Burnett bringing this forward. You know, I don't think it's earth shaking, but I think just having more information is good. Alder Burnett, in your estimation, what would you like? How would you like?
I'll give you one example. On the ordinance, it says, under definition of a face covering means a manufactured or homemade cloth covering that fully covers an individual's nose and mouth, you know, so on and so forth. Well, at this stage, our understanding of COVID is a homemade cloth covering sufficient, that it could be a handkerchief or something incredibly thin. So I understand why we want to have some flexibility in the ordinance to allow our constituents some flexibility so they don't get fined or cited if they don't comply. But right in the ordinance, if we're suggesting that homemade cloth face covering is sufficient, I don't know how true that is. I think You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, a little bit.
to answer your question, just a simple referral to the health department. If they don't take it up, I have some ability to contact them and say, hey, as a city alder, this is what the city agreed to. Of course, it has to pass the city council. So I just think a simple referral to the Brown County Health Department to review the ordinance.
Okay, thank you for that, Alder Dorf.
I just looked on the website and we have actually 55, you can get 55 different results when you ask about masks. And why do we have a mask ordinance? What do I do if someone has one, not my business doesn't have one on? Where can I get a mask? How can I eat in a restaurant with a mask on? Do I need to wear a mask? And then it's about voting. There's a lot of information on our website about masks. It's just not, like in one place. You have to put the word mask in, and then you can come up with a whole bunch of things. But I don't know. See, I wonder if is this something, we can ask the health department, but what specific question are we asking them?
Well,
I guess.
I think Alder Burnett kind of brought up, I kind of agree with them. I got 4 different kinds of masks at home. I got different cloth masks and the material and the N95. I've been told to wear 2 masks because of the variants that are out there. So after a while, it's like, and then you got to wash them every day or some people wash them, some people don't. Some people have it below their nose. Some people cover it. Some people don't wear masks. So I'm trying to be a good citizen that way myself. And I just would like to see some consistency. So with the cloth, I've been told, I've had neighbors make masks, hundreds and hundreds, and give them out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot of people have done that. But then some people might say, well, maybe the material isn't as good as it could be. So,
are we going to dictate that?
Well, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know.
I just,
I don't know.
I kind of disagree.
Go ahead, Alder Stevens.
I think the ordinance was designed by, I don't think it needs to be changed. We all know what type of mask protects you the most. It's up to the individual to choose which mask they choose. So I don't think we should be bothering another company or outfit to tell us what we already know.
Well, I agree to a point, but I think, Alder or Attorney Bungert, I'd like you to weigh in a little bit, then I'll get back to you, Alder Stevens. Well, Attorney, what's your take?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So my understanding with crafting the ordinance last summer, it was done based on reaching out to the municipal listserv and discussing with other municipalities that had face coverings or face covering ordinances in place or were seeking them, and looking to the CDC guidelines, Brown County Health Department guidelines, other health department guidelines for the state, as far as what their, medical professional opinions as far as what was the recommendation with respect to face coverings and how they should be, their general application. From an ordinance perspective and from an enforcement perspective, we can't really go down the road of requiring type or, whether it's manufactured. It was structured in a way so as to be readily and equally applicable to all citizens, and something that will be more easily enforced as to either you're wearing a face covering or you're not wearing a face covering versus looking into the sufficiency of the face covering.
I have something exciting I just found.
Yep, go ahead, Alder Dorf.
Look at this. Well, maybe you can't see it. This is from Brown County Public Health, and it tells you how to make a face covering, how to make a mask. And it even talks about bandana, old t-shirts, square cotton cloth, rubber bands or hair ties, scissors, if you're cutting your own cloth. And this is actually right from, you probably can't see it, but Public Health, Brown County. So they actually have directions on how to make a mask.
That's
Okay. Go Alder Burnett.
Yeah, thank you, Attorney Bungert and Barb. That was perfect. Or Alder. I'm fine with a receive and place on file if that's information is out there, but I think this is kind of one of the core faults with the ordinance, in my opinion, is if it's about public safety, rather allowing a person to comply. Like what I mean by that is the ordinance, if it says cloth is fine or it doesn't specify a certain type of mask, it really is just to allow compliance, even if the compliance isn't good from a public health standpoint. It would say, okay, any piece of cloth fabric, so a person doesn't get cited. That's great that they don't get cited, which I don't want them to be cited. But if it's not really helping the spread or preventing the spread, because a cloth mask could be anything. I mean, it could be very thin. It could be something that's got tons of holes in it. So that's what I'm getting. Yeah.
I have a question.
Alder Stevens.
Well, I agree with Jesse that this should be received on place and file. And the reason why I think that is if they had the option to do a mask mandate in Brown County, but they chose not to do it. So by us bringing this forward and giving it to them, I don't think it's not going to go anywhere. You know, I think we've done our due diligence on doing our own mask ordinance mandate. And I think we did a really good job at it. So because county is not stepping up to the plate, I don't think it would be feasible for us to waste our time or the county's time.
If we,
Okay.
if I
Alder
could,
Burnett.
Chairman, if we
Sure.
extend ours past or vote to extend ours past March 31st, I do think we need to look at revising it. So I'm fine, you know, having said that, our ordinance is in place until the 31st of March. I'm fine with the receive and place on file, and we can revisit redrafting it if
Yeah.
necessary, if we go
Well,
longer.
I agree with that.
And I agree with Jesse too. That'll give all the alders time to look at it.
Yeah,
And-
I think, I think other
enough
things
time
may
in.
change over the next couple of months, so, yeah, we need to be able to adjust that way. So I thank you, Alder Burnett, for bringing this forward, but Alder Stevens, you've made a motion
Correct.
to receive and place on file. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vanderleest. Any
Yes.
other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you again. All right, my favorite part's coming up. When we're ready.
Yep, we are ready. Liquor violation report.
Lieutenant, this is your moment.
I know it's what everyone eagerly anticipated. We've had no violations during the time frame.
What a beautiful
Good job.
area.
Good job,
Yeah.
Lieutenant Mahoney.
We're all drinking grape juice. That's fantastic. All right, a motion to receive and place on file. One of you folks?
Motion to receive and place on file.
Okay, I'll give it to Stevens, seconded by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for all your input, lieutenants.
Thank you.
And good luck with, we'll stay in touch with you folks too, as far as, the other things we were talking about today, but thanks for all the hard work.
Okay. thank
Lieutenant, are you retiring?
Who?
I'm asking Lieutenant Mahoney if he's retiring.
No, we did some restructuring here at the PD, so we now have 2 lieutenants in our community police division. I'll be covering the east side and Nate will be covering the west side.
Well, that's nice.
Yep,
Hey,
no, you
keep up
guys
the
are
good-
stuck
keep
with
up the
me.
good work.
Well, John, you'll have to behave now, where he's on Nate's on the west side, or Nate, you're on the west side now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, John, you gotta behave.
Well, we will. I got
Nate,
all,
I spoke to you,
Who?
old Lieutenant.
Nate?
Yeah, I spoke to you the other day about the.
Okay,
Government
got it.
Street, but yeah, yep.
All right.
Perfect.
good job,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Well, good discussion. Anything else? Are we ready here to adjourn?
Motion
Motion to
adjourned, yep.
adjourn.
Motion by Vanderleest. Do we have a second? By Stevens. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Great meeting all. It's always enjoyable with you folks.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Mark.
All right. Take care.
Bye now.